Hey everybody, Patty in here. Welcome back. Hey, I'm excited to begin a little series of how to make backgrounds or how to paint with cheap watercolor sets instead of getting fancy markers or that kind of thing. Now for today's class, I'm going to show you some tips for getting started, some stuff that really helped me and it may help you as well. Some of the things you'll need is some Scotch shipping tape, this kind, that's really sticky. And you'll need some masking tape. I have this thin stuff. You'll need a watercolor set. And for the time being, just get something from the Dollar Tree. It works just as well. Also, make sure you stay tuned for all of these because I am going to have a drawing at some time, or I'm going to have two winners who are going to get a watercolor kit that's going to include a watercolor set, a water brush, one of these brushes that holds water, and another set of brushes. So stay tuned. Probably not in this video, but maybe in the next one, I'll be explaining how you can win. But anyway, these are some of the products I'm using today. This is just a jelly roll pen, a white one, and just various brushes. So I'll move all this stuff aside and let me show you how I started. So if you'll notice here, let's see, right here's one. I have some cardboard onto which I've put this Scotch shipping tape, okay? And so where did I get the cardboard? Well, I've been saving it for a long time. Every time you get something new from Cricut, and I'm not sure why. Okay, there we go. Every time you get something new from Cricut, it comes with this cardboard backing. I always save it. And for these things right here, what I did was I cut it in half, this one, and then I cut it in half again. And I thought I saved one that I can show you what I do. So I just take this tape and start across at the top or the bottom, whatever. Go like this. Okay. Then I turn it over and I go the whole way across almost, except for that I want to have this piece come over to protect this side. Okay. So I want the sides to be taped up too. I'll explain more about that in a little bit. So then I'm going to go across all the way to here and then just end over here and cut it off. Try to keep my finger under here so I can always get a hold of the beginning. Okay, there's the first line. Take another line. Overlap at about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. Go to the, oh, I got that one a little bit crooked. Go to the back. And start going across, but just pause for a minute so I can fold this piece up. And I'm telling you, you'll wonder, why in the world do I want to do this? Well, you're going to be really glad you did if you're like me, because I can hardly ever wait for anything to dry. So I'm always messing things up. And this is perfect for me because I can move this whole thing out of the way and just let it dry. There's a little bubble in there that I'm kind of moving out of the way. Okay, then I'll just do the next piece. Again, overlapping about 1/4 or 1/2 of an inch. Okay. And bring this piece around to the side and fold it under. I got a little bit folded weird, so I'm going to cut that off. Okay, there. And then just continue on. Smoothing it down as I go, kind of like vinyl. And then cutting this off on the other side. So notice that both of my sides here are really well covered, but the ends aren't. So I'll have to fix that at the end. Another piece. I don't know. Do you guys think I need a new camera or something? The reason why it keeps trying to focus? I don't know. I've been using this camera for a long time. I've been doing videos, not necessarily just on this kind of craft, but I also have videos on weaving and spinning wool and all kinds of stuff. So I've been doing videos for probably over 10 years now on YouTube. Different topics. All right, so there's that one done. Come to the end. Now, just have to finish up by having the sides done. Okay, so I'm going to click on, get another piece, make it this length, okay, and then cut it off. I just lost the edge. Oh well. It's back off. That noise is probably hurting your ears. Then just fold this over like that. And then once it's totally folded over, did I get the right side? I sure did. Okay, yep. Gonna cut these edges off. I think I need to take it off of auto focus, maybe. Take another piece. So last time I did this when I was live, Stephanie said, and I haven't even had anything to drink yet. So yes, once again, Stephanie, it's not you, it's my camera making all this weirdness. So this one's finally done. As soon as I cut these pieces off. All right, so what's the point of this? Well, I'm going to show you. Okay, cut this one off. Cut that piece off. Okay, so here's the point of this. So when I'm working, see if I have any that are in the process. Well, here's one that's in the process of drying. Here are my other ones that I've made that are ready to go. I don't think there's anything. Oh, there is something on this one. All right, so there's one, and I had tape on all four sides. Just took off two. Here's another one, and I'm going to show you how to do some of these techniques at another time. But see, while this one was drying, I could start on this one. While these two are drying, I could do another one. If I just taped it down to my table here, I'd be stuck, and that's when I'm tempted to make a big mess. So then you just peel these off like this, and depending on the quality of your paper, it might determine whether some of the little paper gets pulled off right here. If you ever have a really hard time getting your tape off, you could try heating it a little bit with a hair dryer or a heat gun. But see what a nice border that makes on there. And look, if I were to put this on here, look how nice that would be. I like it like this. Oh, but I didn't want to take that off because I was going to put some little sprinkles on there for snow. Well, I have another way I can make snow, so I'll do that. So this one's done. And now this one, I've already put some snow on it. You would go like that with this at the top. And just peel these off. So you can have lots of these little backgrounds going at one time. And it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. So I'll show you some of the other ones that I worked on. This is one I think is nice. That would be cute with a snowman or something. So some of the other ones that I've worked on in the past, oh, this one's still wet, was this one. It's just kind of artsy. Show you this one last. Here's some that I used, and I used a different technique on these. These were just little samples I was working on, and in another class, I'll show you how to do those. Here's one that sort of looks like it has a scene in it. This is one that had circles drawn on it, I think with my Cricut, and then I just came in and painted with watercolors. This was just a simple wash, another wash, another wash. Looks like it has snowflakes on it. Another little scene, and another little scene with some cloudy skies. So anyway, I'll be showing you how to use a lot of different products over the next couple of videos to help you to be able to make some fun things. And you know what? You don't even have to make cards. If you want to, you could just frame what you make, right? Just like this. If you make something that you really like. All right, and then the last one I was going to show you is this one that I just finished making. It was the background here that I did, and I actually even colored the gnomes with my watercolor paper, or with my watercolors, and I think they turned out super cute. They even look a whole lot better in person than they do right here. But anyway, very cute. I like them a lot. They turned out real nice. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is take one of these pieces that I have, and I've already printed out the gnomes again. Okay. I've already printed out the gnomes. Hard there, you can see it a little bit if I hide some of that. Printed them on just black and white, And just like that. So then I'm going to use this because I like to make a nice little frame around what I'm working on. So I use this thin masking tape just because that's what I have. Use whatever you have. I don't know how well the blue tape works, and I don't know if any other tape works very well, but this works pretty well. And what I could do, if I'm having any issue at all with it, tearing off a little bit of the paper. No, I don't want to do that. So I could push it on my pant leg, but I don't want to do that because I want it to really, really stick so that I don't have anything sneaking underneath of it. Like every once in a while, I don't know if you noticed on some of these, but a little bit of the color snuck underneath. So I want it to be really sticky and I want it to stay put. So I kind of do it halfway on the tape. I just kind of eyeball it and I press it way down real hard. I even kind of use my fingernail here, not, just the side of my fingernail like this to make sure there's a good bond there because I don't want the paint to sneak underneath. So I usually do the top and the bottom first. See if I have enough here. Yeah. Again, I like to do it. And again, I'll just use my thumbnail, just pressing that down right into the corners too, like that. Then I'll come up with the next piece. Oopsie. Okay, again, halfway. I'm just eyeballing it. That. I can just rip that little bit off if I want. Again, using my thumbnail, just pressing this down like this. Now, I got to tell you right off the bat, I am no expert in watercolors. I have taken one class, a live class actually, and I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and I have several books. And I've actually liked watercolor since I was a little kid. I remember some of our little readers when I was a kid having watercolor paintings in them every so often, the drawings, and I absolutely loved them. And the thing that I like the most about watercolors, and this isn't something that I'd probably be able to do well, is that you can like draw things and then have the paint go outside of the lines. Let me show you something I did do though, and I'm pretty proud of these. I did them quite a few years ago. Okay, I think the ones I liked were in here. This is another Canson, and this is the mixed media one. Well, let's see. Yeah. The Great Blue Heron. This is an image I drew and I watercolored. And I wrote down some information about him because that was the bird that got me interested in bird watching a million years ago. Then I tried doing Eastern Bluebird. It's not very well done, but you know what? It makes me happy. It's a pileated woodpecker. Again, I drew this and painted it with watercolors. So, those of you who are good watercolor artists out there, don't shame me. I'm just happy that I was able to do this because it was a lot of fun. Again, the paints in my Winsor & Newton. And then this was just a tree limb that I brought, not a limb, but a twig I brought in and put in a piece of clay and set it on my desk and tried to draw it. So those are just some things that I've done that I'm kind of proud of. Anyway, so we're starting off with this. And let's see if I can get this better. There. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to wet the part because I'm going to do the background first. So I can use the brush like people are going to get if they win the little contest that's going to be upcoming. It's like one of these brushes. It's filled water. Oh, it has like a purpley color in it. Don't think I want to use that one. Must have gotten water in there. So I think I have another one that might be clear water. This one's got clear water, but it's too small. I want to use a pretty large brush. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I want to use a pretty large brush up here, and I'm just going to start wetting the paper. I'm only going to wet where I want to have paint. So in other words, I do not want to put paint in the word Merry Christmas. So I'm just kind of roughly going around there, just wetting everything back and forth a little bit to keep it really pretty wet. And then about the time I get to the hats, right around in here, I'm going to stop putting on some paint and then go back, or not paint, but I'm going to stop putting on some water. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add paint. And you'll see how that paint is only going to go where there's water, pretty much. It's going to bleed into where there's water. Okay, so let's give it a whirl. Keep it really wet. If I held this up, you'd be able to see that it's very shiny where it's wet. And then what I'm going to do is open up my watercolors. And I think I'll put the other one blue. I might as well go with the blue again. So I can use that same brush again if I want to, but I might as well use this one that already had some, oopsie, color in it. Oh no, I got color all over my fingers. Don't want to get that all over my card, that red. Okay. So I'm going to use this one. Hopefully it's all still wet here and kind of mix up. Now, when I start, I take a spray bottle. If you don't have a spray bottle, all you have to do is take your brush, a regular brush, or this brush, and just drip a drip into there. So if you squeeze it, drips will drip in. And that gets the paint started moving around and softening up so you can make a nice wet, see that wet? I like it nice and wet like that to start with. Then I'm going to start just putting it up here at the top, and you're going to see when I brush it in here, check that out. See when I put that on there, how that just runs around and fills in. It's not going to go. It's just going to stay where there is water. Now, I'm using a rather inexpensive watercolor paper right now. Some are better than others, and some allow this bleeding to occur more easily. This one I'm having to encourage the colors a little bit to move around the way I want them to move. Whoops, I went into that guy's hat a little bit. I can take a little dab of a paper towel or something and just kind of blot that off. Comes off pretty well. So I'm just going to get some more water. And this is what I love about watercolors, is the way it moves around and kind of does its own little thing. So I'm going to bring some more down here. Whoa, too dark. Now I can tell you that watercolor, when it dries, will be a lot lighter than the way it looks when it's wet right here. So if you're worrying, you can say, well, it's going to lighten up. So I'm using the point of this brush now just to kind of move the watercolor around a bit. But I'm letting it, and then I squeeze this a little bit sometimes, a little bit more. There we go, some more water come out. So I'm just going to paint this rather quickly. And then when I'm done with that, I am going to show one other thing today, and that's how to make a nice wash. Now, I didn't put any water on this in advance, so but I can drag this water around the paint and the water and have it go where I'd like it to go. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's the neat thing about watercolors, I think. I don't know. Maybe some people think it has to be perfect, but I kind of like the wet, quick look of it. So I'm just kind of going in here. So if it starts drying and you get a hard edge where you can see the edge, if you just come over it with some water or some looser kind again and kind of brush through it, you can get rid of that. Like right here, there might be a little bit of a hard edge, but if I bring in a little bit of water and go over that a little bit, I can just wipe that edge right out of there, and it no longer looks like a really hard edge, but rather a softer edge of the color. Working off to the side a little bit, just getting my point back on my brush. It seems like I needed some water there, but I didn't want too much on my sheet here. Okay, so there's the beginning. And I think it looks super duper. So I can let it dry, and that's the beauty of using the watercolors, as I said. Oh, and while this is drying, let me show you. All you have to do to clean this brush out is squeeze it and dab off the water until it becomes clear again. Oh, this is the one that I have the purple water in, so it's never going to get really clear. So anyway, all right, and then if you want to also, what you can do is this. Take a piece of paper towel and just kind of wipe along the sides so you don't have any big pools of watercolor or water. And that looks pretty good to me. So far, so good. I'm loving it. All right, the next thing I'll do is I'll let this guy dry, and I can actually take my heat gun and dry it a little bit. See how convenient this is, that I could actually pick this up and bring another one over to work on if I had another one ready. Okay, so you never want to use your watercolors next to something that's still wet. And one way that you can tell if something is still wet is after it's not been on a hot heat dryer for a minute, feel it. Just put your palm on it. If it feels cool, it's probably still wet. If it feels room temperature, it's probably dry. So I'm just going to assume that mine is dry. And what I think I'll do next is his beard. So to his beard, I'll just this smaller brush. It's still a water brush that I can squeeze and get water to come out. And I'm going to squeeze a couple drops in the black. Get a little black and bring it up here. It's a little bit too dark. Let's move it down so you can see. So I want to add a little bit more water to it to gray it up some. I don't want it to be really, really black. And if I really don't like it, what I can do is get some of this white writer and kind of mix that up in there as well. Okay, so the white and the black together will make a nice gray. So then if I wanted to, I could just go ahead and use this brush, either one. So let's see how this one will work. It's a little large, but I think it'll be okay. So I can just come in here and paint it dry if I want to, starting on this side. So I'm going to paint some of this on this side. And then what I'm going to do is I want it to fade over to the other side. So I'm going to dip this in some water and dab it off and then bring it over and bring it right up against that line right there that I had just painted. Okay. Then I'm going to dab it in water again and brush it off a little bit so there's not too much water, and come over here and just bring it all the way to the other side. And that gave me a nice gradient on his beard. Okay, so now I'll do the same thing to the next one. So again, I'll go up in here into my gray and black together mixture. Come over here to him, and I'll do the same thing. I'll make him darker on the left side. Just using the point of the brush to get in there. You know, I don't want his beard to be real gray. And then I'll come over here, dip it in my water, come over here and dop off a little of the water because I don't want it to be too wet. And then come over here and just kind of help it to move over. Like that. All the way to the side. Whoa. So if you ever get too much water, what you can do is really dab off your brush and then come over here with your brush and it'll suck some of it up. Dab it off on your napkin, come over here and suck it up, dab it off, and suck it up if you get too much water ever. All right, the last little guy over here, I'll do the same thing. Get the gray, come up here, use the point, get in there nicely, get a little water, and a little too much water again. So let me fix that. And the way I fix it again is I dab this paintbrush off on my paper towel and just come over here, and it kind of like acts like a sponge. See how it's picking it up? Just picks it right up. I have a little bit of a line right there I don't want. Back over. Okay. All right, there's the other beard. Looking good. Okay, and now I think I'll work on their hats. So I'll just do it like I had done my first one right here. So I'll make their hats red. So let's see again. I'll just take this brush and drop, let's show you, a drip of this paint in the red, like that. Of course, that's that one that's got the purple look to it, which I don't care for. I'm going to get my smallest brush that I have. Let's see, where is it? Well, now you don't even have to just use those kind of watercolor brushes. You can use a regular brush like this. You don't have to have the watercolor brushes to do this. So again, I'm just mixing up in here. I can add a little bit more water to make it a little bit juicier, they call it. And I can dab it off if I want to a little bit. And then just come up in here and start painting around in here. Now on this one, I did not pay any attention to the little dots because I went back after the end and I added the white gel pen to make the dots. So I'm just going to do this, add some more. And again, if I want to have that little bit of a shaded look to this, I can get some water, dab my water off on my paper towel, and then bring it over here. Whoops. Get a little more water, dab it off, come over here. So every time I get a little more water and dab it off, I'm getting rid of a little bit of the paint that was in the paintbrush and just bringing in a dab of water, which just allows me to have a lighter color like that. So I think that turned out really cute. And now I'll do the next one. So he was also red, so I'll bring the red. They were actually all red, weren't they? I'll do this one next. And again, I didn't worry about those little stripes because I got those again with my gel pen. So there we go with that. Add a little bit more color in there if I want. And then rinse off my brush a bit, dab it, and just come over here and run over top of what I've already painted rinse out my brush, dab, come over. Okay. Just like that. And then the last guy was red as well. Looks kind of weird, what you're seeing. So let me get him. And so again, this is just showing that you can get paintbrushes from anywhere, any sizes. And just like that. I just painted that one solid, just like that. Okay. All right, so I'll just wait for a second for that to dry. Otherwise, if I do his nose, the red might mix together. And so I'll just rinse out this red brush and dab it out and wait for this to dry a little bit. Okay, as you can see on my sample here, I did the words Merry and Christmas in red. So I'll do that again. So what I think I'll do is get this water and start putting the water in the layers, or in the letters, I should say. So I'm just carefully putting the water in the M first. Then I can get a little of this red and just daub it into here, and it's going to run all where I put that water, just like that. Okay, there's M. Let's try the E. Okay, let's do the R. And the other R. And I might as well do the Y while I'm at it. Get the color, drop it in, drop it in, and drop it in. Okay. There's Mary. And then I'll start on the Christmas. So, like I said, this is an alternative to using things like Copic markers. Maybe you don't like yours to be so free form as this, but honestly, like I said, this is what I really like. I like it to be loose and just free flowing, kind of. That's my favorite thing about watercolors. So I don't want it to be perfect to the edges. So I'm going to drop some of this in, let it spread around. Drop. Probably need to get a little bit more red in there. And again, depending on how the quality of your watercolor paper, that affects how easily things spread. I'm having to help mine a little bit. I don't remember which paper this actually was. The one that I like the best is called Arches or Arch, but it's very expensive, so I don't use it really. Yeah, not very often anyway. So I just messed that up. So let's see if I can get it up with my paper towel. Sure could. Here we go. Okay. So I don't think I wet this thing yet. The M, so that's a little, see how it's not spreading at all? Because I didn't wet it first. So I need to come in here and give it some juice. Okay, so far so good again. Let's rinse out our red brush and wipe it off and dry. See, I got that spot in between the T and the S again. Let's see if I can still wipe that up. It might be too dry now. Oh well, I missed it when it was going on. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can move a little bit of paint. Let's see, we got some white spots that I'd like to cover up. So see if I can get a little of this paint to move a little bit right there. Maybe right here. Here. See if I can get a little of that off of there. There we go. Okie dokie. Schmokey. Another thing that you can tell if you have good watercolor paper or not is how often you can rework without disintegrate or deteriorate. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay. So the next thing I guess I'll do is his nose, which will be easy to do with this orange. So a little orange, dab it off and do his nose. 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 And if I wanted to, I could put a little bit darker down at the bottom. That. But not miss. Okay. Let's see. Okay, the other thing I need to do are his feet. And I made those kind of a grayish color before. Okay, and now's when I take the, let's close this up. Now's when I take the jelly roll and just start finishing up on him. Can make his little dots white. Okay, and then once that dries, all I have yet to do is to put the snow on, which I'll open this back up again for the snow. I like to make sure I have a set that has white in it. So again, I'm going to take my pen with the white water in it, or the clear water, and add it to this white one right here and let it soak in there. It gets kind of frothy like. Just dry again. And then I'm going to put the snow on here. I think I'll just use a little brush, although I could use one of the water brushes. Let's really get that juiced up. And then just hit it. This brush may be too small. Look at those little tiny snowflakes it's making. I think I want a little bit bigger snowflakes than that. Oh, here we go. Whoopsie. Okay, let's see. If you got any snowflakes that you don't really want, actually I like all of those. Even though they're kind of blobby. Looks like real snow, like they're really having a bad snowstorm. You can always point little dots too if you want to. If you feel like you didn't get them right where you wanted them. Okay. Looks good. Rinse that brush out. And now what I can do is dry this off one final time. And it's not dry, but here I go doing what I always do when messing things up. I'm tearing the side papers off just so we can see what it's going to look like with our other papers behind it. And it's going to look really super cute. I can tell already. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. Love doing this. It's so much fun and so easy. Whew. Okay, let me get a piece of blue or something to put behind it. Some red I could put behind it. Could do red and blue behind it like that. Let's see. Here's a piece of blue. Could do something like that with it. Anyway, I think it turned out super cute. I wish you could see it in person. It looks like in the camera that that's a little bit too much of white right there, but honestly, in real life, it looks really cute and really nice. Okay, I was going to show you how to do a gradient really quickly, and I almost forgot. So let's show you this at the end. I'm just going to tape this piece on here quickly, just like we did in the other ones. Kind of like, whoopsie, halfway about. Okay. And this will be about halfway to it. Okay. There. And I'm just going to do this out of one color because this color is just a single color gradient. I will be showing you soon how to do more than one color gradient, and also maybe even how to add a sun to it or something else like that. So, but today's is just a single color gradient, something quick that I said I'd show. Now I got to make sure that these are down well. Okay, the first thing I'll do is I'll just wet my paper. Now, sometimes if I'm doing a gradient, I do like to put it up on a piece of wood. If you have a block of wood, fine. If not, no biggie. You don't have to have a block of wood. So I'm just going to get my paper wet to begin with. Just plain water. Just using a fairly large brush just because I have one. If you don't have one, not to worry. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get another brush, and I'm just simply going to make this a blue gradient. Get my brush wet, come over here in this blue that I've already gotten wet. You can see it's wet. Come up here and make a nice little puddle of it. I'm going to start at the top and go across, right like that, and maybe twice. Okay, to make the gradient, the next thing I'm going to do is just wipe off my brush a little bit and then come over and just dab it on my paper towel. And then start up here where I've already brushed and come like this. Maybe two brushes. Again, come into the water, dab it off, start up here, and come down again. Dab, brush it off, come down again. And you can see how that's making a very nice gradient from the top to the bottom. Once I'm done with that, and this right here looks a little hard-edged. Okay, once I'm done with that, then I do like to go around and make sure to wipe off these edges because I don't want a lot of paint. And you can also use your brush. Remember I showed you that earlier. You can use your brush as kind of a sponge to grab up all this extra paint that's in the edges. And just wipe it off. If there's any extra up here in the edges, just wipe it off. Any over here, you can just wipe it off like that, dab it off. Now, what I need to do, and I didn't do this earlier, was I need to make sure I let this dry before I take the tape off. If I don't, my paper is going to have a bigger tendency to tear, and I really don't want it to tear. So I'm going to dry this real quick, and I'll meet you back here when it's dry. Okay, hopefully I've waited long enough. I'm going to try tearing this off and hope it's not going to tear my paper, because sometimes it does if it's not too dry. Okay, there's one. Perfect. And my gradient, I rushed it, like I said, a little bit, so it's not the most perfect gradient I've ever done, but you understand the idea. And like I said, I am no expert at this. Trust me. I mean, please don't give me bad comments because I did something different than you do. This is just the way I know how to do it right now, and I'm sharing what I know so that other people can experiment as well. So if you like my videos, again, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And share it across social media. It's just a lot of fun to play with this stuff. And again, I have some samples of some other things I've done. Just this, or I love this look, and I'm going to show you how to do that for a background. This is just a plain background. This one with some dots for snow. One that I did with a little scene and another scene. And some more dots for snow. This is another technique that I'll be teaching you. So, join me back here again if you like learning about this watercolor stuff or backings for cards or anything else. And I appreciate your being here. Check out my links down below. You can save a lot of money, especially right now with Black Friday sales. And I just appreciate when you use my links because it helps support the channel and keep me going. So thanks again. Thumbs up, please. Comments. Love you guys. Bye-bye.